Hello, everyone. I'm Astrologer Val Evans. Thank you for joining me again tonight. We are talking about Trump's election secret. We're looking at some of the charts, and I'm breaking all the rules tonight. We are going to find the answer on whether we should be as scared as the media tells us to be, and if we think there's going to be a candidate that actually is going to win or not. That was pretty vague, but most of the people who are probably watching this are probably not big Trump fans, but I'm just going to guess. I know Meg, doubleheader tonight, and hero meet. So, please let me know if I'm offending you and I'll reel it in. But happy to look at both sides. But sure looks like there is somebody that wants revenge, and it's Trump. He wants it so bad. He dreams at night in my mind. And I mean, we've all been in this scenario of when something upsets us so much, we go to sleep thinking how we can feel better. And a lot of times it's that your competitor takes a fall. And that's just a natural Scorpio feeling. Hopefully, we are advanced enough that we don't think that anymore. But Buckeye Clay fan is here. Hello, Toy. And Kimberly, you said you're Canadian. We have our own issues at the moment. Trudeau is on his way out, too. The Kings are on their way out. Speaking of King, I wanted to show you a wonderful gift I got from Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. A quilt. And it has I mean, can you believe this? It has crowns on it in a Halloween motif theme. I've never gotten such a thoughtful gift, I don't think. And it even has little like stories about, like in this area, it's about Saturn. I better get to the Venus one. And then just old articles and lots of Leo. You've got spades on here. I can't believe it. It's such a great gift. Thank you so much. I know, it's super cute. And it took a while to make. It's handmade. So, all right. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to look at Melania's chart. I'm looking at Ivana's chart. I know she's long gone, but we can find out information. And of course, we're going to look at Trump's charts. Thank you, Brenda. And yes. Okay. So here we go. Trump's election secret. You saw, I don't even know if I'm supposed to put these pictures on here. I'm probably going to take these out. But look at the top of this chart that I put up here. And I think that's the solar return chart for Trump. And what are these planets in there? It's in Pisces. So this is a big secret. It's a fraud. It is Russians and some older Russians because of Saturn in there, but it's a return as well. Remember, Saturn is always return. Now, okay, no, this was Melania's solar return chart. So check this out. We're going to start with the ascendant in Gemini. That's going to be her chart ruler. So we're going to look at Mercury. And Mercury makes sense for Melania this year because she was speaking. She came out with her quote unquote tell all book, or whatever book it was. It was a book basically that Trump wrote. And her mind is in Aries this year, which is tough. It means, especially with North Node, extremely angry. And I think it came out too in her book at some of the bullying that her son Bannon has had to deal with. So that's kind of been on her mind. She's very angry with 11th house matters. This can be social media. It can also be friends for her year. So when you have good aspects to Mercury in Aries, it can mean getting things done, being very fast at accomplishing things. So let's get to the good stuff. Where's her husband? He's the 7th house this year. And this is going to be the house. Now, every house is a month in your solar return chart. This is going to be the month of the election. So, what are we going to do? We're going to look at the seventh house. It's in Jupiter. It means American. Of course, the word American is going to be thrown about. Now, keeping in mind, part of fortune in the seventh is generally very good. It means that the partner is somehow successful. And yeah, thanks, Shauna. And I know. Please don't say that. I know. I'm in there and I'm going to tell you all the secrets. So generally, if you don't want Trump to win, you don't want to see that part of fortune in there because there's some nice lines to that. There's some successes that are going to happen, which we've already seen. He's partnered with the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. That would be a win for him. He's generating a lot of buzz. The more anger that he creates, because Aries is in the 11th house and he's got a trine to it, the more success he gets. And so he's definitely doing that. So we're going to look at Jupiter because Jupiter rules her seventh house lord. This is Donald. Donald's in the 12th. You can't really see him, or to her as a wife, he disappears in the sense that, maybe he is shot, maybe he is on the campaign trail. He's busy and he's doing his own thing. She doesn't see him that much this year, except when she's helping him here and there. All right. So interesting that Uranus is the same degree as Jupiter. Uranus, in my mind, would be Elon Musk. So those two are partners there in the 12th house. So a secret dealings. We don't really know what they're doing for each other. So that being Trump, we look at the fact that there's a T-square there to the MC. Now, this is her career. It's not his career, but it does. There's something here that is kind of crazy, and it is a red line to the moon in Scorpio. And so it's almost like her career seems to be interrupted. It is in Aquarius. So her career is next to Trump's in a sense. It's hard to tell what she wants, if she wants to go back to the White House. I don't think so. But there is definitely a square here. Now let's go to Trump's sixth house of work. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that would be Mars. Mars is at the top here. And so let me go back. Whoops. So hubby's job and coworkers are up here. And we can look at his 10th house, which would be, isn't that interesting? The sun. And this is right in Regulus. So this is the kingdom here. And what's the sun? The sun is here. The sun it disappears. It is not going to make it. And it squares Pluto. So this is, kind of just blown up and not very well aspected, opposing the vertex in Scorpio. This year is all about getting revenge, and it doesn't work. It hardly ever works because all it does is continue the energy. And so he feels betrayed by a lot of people, and that would bring on that scorpionic kind of feeling there. Interesting that this is the Russians here. These are people who are going to help with gaining that revenge. Moon in Scorpio for her year. This is tough. It's tough when you have it natally. You think too deeply about things. You don't forget. You want to forget. It's good to forgive and forget. Sometimes it's a good thing to not forget. But this is very much the same energy that she shares with her husband, I think. And these people up here want to help her. And I think that it might have to do with Putin. Okay. Now here is the rectangle that's going to help her and her husband. So you can see, there we go. Black Moon Lilith, 22, very dangerous degree. He's going to be criticizing a lot. He's going to use his scorpionic powers. He's going to sting, and he's going to be stung. And the reason I say that is because there's an opposition. Whenever you have an opposition to Scorpio with a planet, it's something that's going to sting you potentially that year. And that's already happened. But again, he is in the background here. Nobody sees what he's doing. But it looks like this is the 11th house. So this is basically for Melania. I mean, it's the internet. But who are these people to Donald Trump? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could he be taking up with someone who is connected to a spy? This is a spy. This is a military spy of some sort. Now, I'm not sure if it could be a Russian, but there's definitely, and I would want to see Aquarius in there if we're talking about coders. And sure enough, we've got a sextile to the coders. This is international coders. So there's something going on here. I wonder why that's in the 5th house, though. You would think, oh, okay, this is the 6th house lord. This is the job. This is his coworker, Trump's coworkers. So, I mean, what kind of job do you think he has now? How would you describe it? I guess a politician. So these are people who are working with him as cohorts. And they all want revenge too. So this is very, very malefic. Pisces, Neptune, and in a square. Now, here's the thing. This is probably the most important thing. Keeping in mind it is Melania's chart. But whoever these nefarious people are right here, they are in a T-square with part of fortune. So for some reason, it derails Trump, these people. So could be spies, could be the Navy, could be Putin, could be Russians, could be, porn, that kind of stuff. I don't want to say drugs, but something's going on there now. Remember, his friend got out, Steve, what's his name? And Steve Bannon. And this is Steve right here. Wait, it's still her friend. It's really not her friend. You'd have to go to the 11th house for the friends of the 7th. And that would be Mercury. So Mercury's here. And Steve Bannon's coming out. He's angry. He's on the internet. And he wants revenge too. There's that Scorpio there. It doesn't really matter sometimes. Like sometimes you'll look at it and you'll be like, well, the vertex, what does that mean? It doesn't really matter. It's just something that is in an opposition with Scorpio. That's all you really need. It just means revenge, betrayal, even jealousy. Okay. Did I get that right? Yeah. So there it is. They will not be successful, whoever these people are. And it looks like his coworkers, which would also, I think, people who would be running. All right, so this one is going to be interesting. We've gone over it in the past. Sean, I know. Congratulations, Angel D. Actually, I'm the one that you should be saying congratulations to me because I have an amazing moderator and I didn't even know how it worked. So Angel D is just amazing. So thank you so much for doing that, Angel. And it's okay. We thought you were just monitoring. You shouldn't have said anything. Could be the FBI again. Maybe. I know, Dinah. Come on. Put your glasses on and concentrate. And I know. Okay, Shauna says, cannot forget, not always anger, but sadness. Hard to forget the pain. Pain stays with you. Moon in 8th house. That's true. You have it so deeply. You know, Anderson Cooper was on Instagram or was on a show with a psychologist the other day. And he said, I don't know or understand this, but I keep thinking of my dad, and he was gone many years ago. How is it that I'm just, I can't stop thinking so deeply? And it, just basically started. Well, he is actually having a Pluto, which represents thinking too deeply when it's in an opposition or square. And I think it opposes his chart ruler or him. And so when you have that opposition with Pluto, it is so tough. It's like you can't get to the bottom of your feelings. It's just a never ending vat. But it does end, though. I know, Dino. Val, why are all the people going crazy? It's such a great question. And I was thinking about how I tend to be a little bit lighthearted when I talk about this serious issue because it is pretty serious. Um, I just don't want to think about it, but I kind of like when I'm on my show, I think about the scenario like a Grimm's fairy tale, and that way I, I don't get too upset. But yeah, everybody is in this haze. We're in Sati Sati. So is London or England. But England and the US in Sati Sati, meaning it's kind of like you're with somebody, like a partner who doesn't treat you very well and you're not so thrilled with, but then this other person comes in and it's an option, but the possibilities could be much, much worse. So it's kind of like yuck. And there's not much to really get us excited. So, okay. I know, 13. I can't believe it. It's amazing. And that's all because you guys, you share and subscribe and join and do all those things. And I feel very, very happy and appreciative. Yeah, everyone's very angered at the moment. It's all of that energy in the sky, especially with the oppositions with Mars and the Sun and Pluto. It's an enhanced, everything has to be so aggravated, because you can see in his chart that the more that things are aggravated, and I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or an astrologer to figure this out, the more he benefits. But unfortunately, if he got into power, I really think that the whole point for him would be to put people in jail, put people away, go after those old advisors, go after people who he thought has wronged him. Oh, thank you, Shauna. That is so sweet. I know, lucky 13. Hey, it's Taylor Swift's lucky number and right on Halloween. So it was perfect timing. Okay. Now, I mean, look at his progressed chart. I shouldn't laugh because some of us have this chart, but it's like it's a bucket and it's dumped out. And, doesn't necessarily mean you can't be 100% successful, but it sure looks like there are efforts that are probably going to be nil for him. So let's break this down. Oh, hey, Carolina. Nice to see you. Okay. So, first year of him being in the ascendant, he's in the burning way right now, the burnt path. It's a very, very difficult time. And I was born when, let's see, I have my Libra at like 20, I think it's 23 or 24. You think I'd remember? And so when I was younger, going, 1, 2, 3, and, going into my teen years, I was in the burnt path, and very difficult, very, very difficult to be in this area. With the ascendant in Pluto on the one hand, I mean, for me as a child, it was just transforming, not recognizing things, moving from place to place, and like, you're just like, well, what kind of friends do I have this year? So lots of transforming as a person, not being that person that you were, I mean, in an extreme way over a period of time. So for him, the ascendant here is in Pluto. So we're going to look at Pluto right here. So let's see. Oh, I didn't put them in. Oh, I did it on that one. Okay. All right. And Pluto in the 10th house, I mean, it's the revenge of the king, really. That's the theme here. The MC is, I mean, he's going to think like a king, even a dictator. He's going to think that he needs to be back on his throne. And Saturn represents to return. The problem is that returning to the throne could mean death, which is the moon. Moon squared Saturn means death. So he keeps activating that, and he's going to get himself in trouble. I thought that this month was going to be pretty dangerous for him, but it looks like he put some things in place like plexiglass, Neptune, to keep the bullets at bay. Now, let's look at this here for a second. The sun. The sun, which rules his career, is squaring Black Moon Lilith in the second house. So this is really, I think, some kind of strategy here could be, see if this is his career, Virgo. It has to do with something financial here. And there's a square. It looks like people are keeping him from getting money. He's trying to tap into a second house for his career, and he can't, as much as he wants anyway. And you can see that there's a big T square. This is him, or this is his career, the sun. It's in this T square. Uranus, 8th house, and just keeps getting upset. So investments, finances, it's not supporting necessarily some of the efforts that he wants. An example would be like getting a partner who wants to pay voters, and they're like, you can't do that. So it's just kind of like one shock after another. Now, the really good thing, I don't like to say this, Mercury's up here. This is to talk and to think like a king. Leo. And the problem is that there's an octile with Neptune. And this is someone who is not clear exactly how he's going to be the king. He might even stoop to Neptunian types of tactics. But for the most part here, when it comes to his Mercury, you can see that there's something very positive here. And I will bet you that's Elon Musk here, Uranus. And they are partnered together. This is a lot of politicians in the background that are helping him. They don't want to be found. They're hidden. Hidden politicians are helping him. And they might even be working with Elon here, trying to see what they can do. I think with Uranus, this is like code, algorithms. So he really has partnered with the best when it comes to that. And so that really, really helps him in his quest to be king. But just hold on a second. Now, this is his solar return chart, and he's the moon this year. Very, very difficult year for him. There are ways he could return, but Saturn in the ninth house means return to the press and also return to the courtroom. But I don't want to focus on that one just yet because I've got another couple of good ones you're going to like. This is Ivanka's chart, or Ivana's chart. Okay. And I know I am too. Hey, cicada. I don't know. What do you think? Do you want him to win? Angel, sorry, but Uranus elevated always makes me giggle. I should have read that one. No, we were talking about Giselle, Uranus elevated, weren't we? That was just last show. Okay. Hey, Janet, nice to see you. Marcia Mann's art. Nobody is innocent in all of this. I agree. I totally agree. Shauna, you said Taylor's going to be here in Indianapolis this weekend. I'm 20 miles south of Indy, and my town is going to be packed tomorrow through the weekend. Wow. I gotta ask. I've got to wonder if some of her tour has to do with key states, or is it strategic? She's a smart girl. I would think that she would do that. Is she playing in Pennsylvania like in the next couple of days? Yeah, I have. We should do a whole show on that. Poor Cheryl. Have you looked at RFK Jr. chart at all? There's just something with him. I can't pinpoint it, but intuitively I felt since I first saw him go big on media earlier this year. Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Oh, you're talking about Uranus. There was a Donald Trump chart with that, but I can't remember which one. Yeah, I know. Oh, Zanita Trump 2024. That's somebody who is, she'll take anybody, just not what we have. It's okay. You're still welcome here. As long as we don't argue, we keep it to astrology, and that keeps us safe. When you look at Mercury or Venus, how do you decide which is the ruler? When you look at Mercury or Venus, when we're looking at which chart, because I just forgot what I just said. Janet, you said Taylor's not going to Canada until after the U.S. election is done, so perhaps you have a point. Yes, we love everyone because you know what? We're all in this crappy energy right now, and nobody's thinking right. But there are certain people who are probably not thinking about the Constitution. But, both sides, and I'm not going to get into the politics, but both sides are definitely, I lived in DC and worked in DC for many years, and there's some shady Democratic stuff as well. It's just that they don't try to stay in office for a very long time. I remember when Al Gore conceded and George Bush became president, and we all felt bad for Al. But then it was like a less than a year later that September 11th happened, and you had to wonder, maybe he dodged a bullet there, but it could have been a whole different situation the next few years after that. Yes, be good humans. There's definitely pure evil at work in the world right now. Okay. How do I handle Venus retrograde progressed? Well, I do take a look at what Venus rules. And so, if it rules your seventh house, then you're not going to be so thrilled with your partner. But it's really interesting how you can see, if you look through your progress chart, you can see what planets go retrograde. And when they start going retrograde, that's when it's sort of like that house or whatever that represents kind of like gets weak. And I think it was pretty wild. JLo's Mercury, and I believe, I can't remember what that rules for her chart, but it went retrograde right as she and Ben decided to separate in March. So it's suddenly, the partner just disappoints you. So it's really interesting to see. I had my Mercury in retrograde for a long time, and then it went forward. I don't know how much that's helped me, but it's interesting to see when those planets go forward at certain times in your life. I can't remember, Janet. That is, I didn't even think about that. Maybe he lost his head. Poor guy. I thought he was, I liked him. Okay. Let's go back to this chart. So this is Ivana's chart right now. All right. And this is her solar return chart. And, her ascendant is in Scorpio. And why can we still use this chart? Because our charts never end. It's still going to tell us who the people are around and what they're doing. You can tell what Ivana's doing. The fifth house would rule the child, first child. And is she the first child? I can't remember. No, she's the last child. Well, this would be the family. And Neptune shows they're at the beach. But I guess she's the youngest, right? So she would be 1, 2, 3. Oh, she's the moon right now. She is happy as a clam. She's in a big trine. She's doing okay. Saturn is still in Pisces. So her home, she's staying Saturn, waiting Saturn at the beach, Pisces. So this is Donald Jr. And yeah, he's having problems of his own right now. But anyway, we're talking about Trump. And so what we would do is we would look at the seventh house Lord, and we're going to get Venus, and that is Trump. And boy, is he angry. Look at that Mars. And he's also very wealthy because of Pluto and Venus together is lots and lots of money. It is in Aquarius, which means to break. It means divorced. But, and I mean, this can just reflect her chart that she's divorced from him and he got her pretty angry. But look at how her seventh house Lord representing Trump, okay, is squaring Jupiter. And what is Jupiter? Jupiter rules his career. So career is cut. So that chart is something. It's this chart, to see Trump in Ivana's chart, it looks kind of negative, but don't forget, you see him trining Black Moon Lilith up here. Sneaky man, sneaky man. So then that gives us something else to look at. It's this rectangle here. This is his 11th, this is his 10th house of career. And Uranus rules his career. It doesn't look good. Let's go back and look at Uranus. Uranus is in a T square. Right there. It does not look positive for him. I'm just going to tell you. All right. And here is his here's his progress chart, but I wanted to call out a few more things. So this is the lord of his chart, Pluto, because it's Scorpio there that is ruling the chart. So this is him. He is up here. Now, this is a transit progressed chart. This is the real deal. This is when you really want to know what you're going through. You got to be brave to do the transit progressed. It's not for the weak-minded, okay? But his Pluto, this represents his whole chart. This is November 5th and 6th. It's in a square there with the moon. I'm sorry, with the sun. Sun in, and when something is squaring in Scorpio, this is just this, I really I need to win because I just have I need to do what was done to me type of thing. But isn't it interesting? The word that is happening around the internet right now, which Pluto represents, is garbage. I think this could be the Puerto Ricans, the people who are pretty offended at what he said with the whole garbage thing and the jokes. And now he's saying that he didn't know that comedian who made that joke. I guess it wasn't him, it was the comedian that made the joke. Oh my God, there's so much anger about it. And you can even see Mars up here kind of creeping in the distance, starting to really get angry about this. So that could, in and of itself, you it could just thwart his career. And you think back in history on those things that just everybody remembers, that one misstep. And I think this is what adds to so much anxiety when you're running for president, because you could do, at least back in the day, now not so much anymore, but you could do that one thing that everybody was just like, ugh, I'm not going to vote for him. And I mean, every president had one of their moments that sort of brought them down. And I am going to say that trash has to do with it. The garbage. Everyone's garbage. Don, Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, and Bannon in that order. Okay. So she's the second then. I'll have to go back and look at that. Thank you. So Eric seems to be doing okay then. Yeah, I guess he's doing better than well, I don't know. I'd say Ivanka's probably doing the best. That is shocking to me. How smart is Trump that he managed not to get ensnared into the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Shauna, it's eerie because with the J-Lo docu-movie, she had the whole theme based on astrology. I know. Actors playing the gods in her life, but with signs as their names. But I'm not sure she's not consulted with one. I know. I was thinking about that. I was thinking she had that Leo, the bad kings, it seems like they're going to fall, and that's a good thing. We get so upset, but really, I think what we're really witnessing is that these authoritarian figures fall, but we have to see them rise first in order for it to be as big as the universe wants it to be. Cicada, yes, Leos are spontaneous, fun, and fierce lovers. That's what I mean. The fifth house is the J-Lo house. It's fun. She's always going to say the word love, in love, party. I mean, she's as much of a Leo that I've ever seen. Even her name, Lopez, means white wolf, and wolf is Leo. Wolf of Wall Street, this is a Leo type of person, a king. So the bad wolves are being rounded up right now. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next part of Trump's progressed chart. And, you always want to look at your sun, see how it's doing. The sun is confidence. The sun is, yes, we did it. Well, at the time of election, he's not feeling so confident. There's a square here to Mercury. Mercury is groups. In Sag, it's an American group. It's also in the second house, so not as much money as he wants, maybe losing money. Sometimes when there's a square to the second house, it can show that you've lost some money. This could be a person too. Mercury rules the 11th house of social media, so hard to believe because it looks like he's been winning on Twitter. Or is it Twitter? No, it's X. Mercury in the 10th house in Leo is thinking about being the king. Of course, Mercury represents what you're thinking about. Thinking about your career, the 10th house, when it's in the 10th house. And it's right on Regulus, which is gold. And it's squaring Uranus. And this is losing one's head. So lots of people losing their head. It's not necessarily him, but it's his mindset. So he might implode if he loses. It is personal. We've got Venus trining Mercury at the same time, and Venus is for him in his chart. Oh, this looks dicey. It looks like Melania is helping him in his career. Most definitely, she helps, and he knows it. But there's an opposition with Uranus here. This could be a big breakup. So, he's dealing with personal and professional stuff at the same time. Now, when it comes to the 5th house, this is his family, okay? And it is in Pisces, so makes sense. People are going to the beach. But you've got Saturn about to roll through the 5th house. And so that, to me, usually when you have 5th house matters, it's, how the family's feeling. And I would think that Saturn going through his progressed 5th house would mean that they're kind of returning to the beach. Saturn return. Saturn means to return. And memories, family memories, family sadness. So, of course, maybe there's some people in his family that would be sad to see him become president. But this kind of gives me an idea that there could be some things that are not so happy. Ivana Trump's Jupiter, which also represents a husband, is squaring this group of people. Now, these could actually be coders. So I think there's got to be some people who are kind of trying to thwart what may be happening in his little strategy box. So you can see his hidden enemies. He's got a lot back here in the 12th house. That's tough. That's tough when you've got a lot of people back here and they're all kind of, not to say that they're against him necessarily, but you can't really see them. And this is Melania over here. She really does help his career. You can see that trine there to Mercury. Whenever she speaks, it helps his career. So that's good for her. Yeah, at some point when the moon moves out of Scorpio for him, it'll be a little while. Then he will stop feeling so viciously vengeful. And I think that's it. Yeah, maybe. Oh, that's a good point. The oil. Cicada, because you're Leo. That's so funny. You think everything changed since he was shot? Yeah, the whole no mention of Ivanka. That must make him sad. They must be very worried, really sad to be so consumed. I think, especially Ivanka, she knows that it just affects her family in a way that maybe she doesn't like. Oh, that's right. I was hoping that you'd come up with an example. God. And, I remember I was young enough to think, that's a simple, not that I was ever a Republican, but I remember, was it Dan Quayle? He was a Republican, right? I remember thinking, yeah, that's not such a bad mistake, but I was pretty young at the time. You'd think he would have at least thought it over first before he wrote it down on the blackboard. And I think it was to kids, wasn't it? My God. Got Leo, Venus, and Mars conjunct in 6th house. And yes, it's all true what they say. Yeah. So you just like to have fun. And Mars conjunct. Oh, you are aggressively seek out fun. I love it. Anytime you have Mars with something, it's always like, you really go for it like, a group of cops storming a home. But, the problem is when Mars gets into Neptune territory, then you're drinking a little too many martinis. I know, it's crazy. Ballot boxes are being set on fire. Yep, someone in Oregon. Um, there's also an earthquake too, maybe another sign. Um, I don't know about the election, but yeah, I think there's gonna be more earthquakes coming in. Hey, Teresa. Yep, I'm back on. Oh, cicada, you're in Aries. Okay. Hey, fire sign. Why not? I mean, you just gotta, yes, Aries, they will make people blush for sure. They have no, they're not shy. They're not shy. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to me. And I'm going to be back on again tomorrow. I think I'm going to do another Trump show. So you guys have to give me your thoughts on what you want me to do. And then I'm going to also, as promised, do a Harry and Meghan show because there's some psychics saying they're going to be divorced or announce their divorce on November 5th. So we got to look into that. And thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.